Cause your team wear the same jacket. The hospital like a hospice. Your Hippocratic oath no exist. The sick enable, but you there riding on the table.
Right, that's the sounds of Batman Polo. We're gonna break though and get back into some more Kaiso after SKELEC Power Line.
Are you tired of Wi-Fi dead zones in your home? The Cable has the ultimate solution with our whole home Wi-Fi coverage. Say goodbye to frustrating signal drops and hello to seamless connectivity in every corner of your home. No more
Mom, my tablet's not working in my bedroom. My game is freezing, Daddy.
or WhatsApp calls dropping as you walk around the house. So many people struggle with dead zones and restricted Wi-Fi, and the Cable has the answer. Enjoy full blanket increased Wi-Fi coverage with installation in 48 hours or less. Whole home Wi-Fi coverage is here. Get the whole family connected today. Come in or call the Cable at 465-2588 to get your whole home Wi-Fi boost installed. The Cable, always giving you more. Terms and conditions apply.
The future is unknown. Protect your life, your family, and your valuables from unforeseen circumstances. Let National Caribbean Insurance give you the peace of mind that you so deserve. At NCI, we offer a suite of affordable insurance plans that can be tailored to ease your financial burden. We aim to deliver exceptional products to satisfy all your insurance needs. Whether life, health, motor, or property insurance, NCI has the right solution for you. Our friendly and knowledgeable sales professionals are ready and able to assist you. Let National Caribbean Insurance Company Limited help you to prepare for the unexpected. We serve, we protect, we satisfy. That's NCI.
27 minutes to the hour. It's now time for SKELEC Power Talk. Power Talk. Power Talk is SKELEC's radio program aired the first and third Wednesday of every month. Tune in at 9:30 a.m. on ZYZ Radio for the latest information on what's happening at SKELEC. Learn more about doing business with SKELEC and the services that they offer. Power Talk. Powered by SKELEC.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of Power Talk. Power Talk is a radio program brought to you by the St. Kitts Electricity Company Limited, where we share with you all of the latest updates and happenings at SKELEC. My name is Patrice Harris and I am your host for this morning, the Corporate Communications Manager at SKELEC. This morning, we will be joined by another guest who should almost be here, but in studio with us we have Mr. Keen Mark, and I will allow Keen to introduce himself.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Keen Mark. I'm the electrical maintenance engineer at the power plant at Needsmos.
All right, Keen. Good morning, and thank you for joining us this morning. I know it's not your first time here on the program, and you're not going to be alone today, so don't worry, you're not in the hot seat. But speaking of the hot seat, we are in the summer months. And we recognize that temperatures continue to rise. Last year was the hottest year on record, and it is expected that we will see some similar temperatures again this year. We recognize that as a Caribbean country that experiences this type of heat, it is important for us to understand energy conservation and the different tips that we can engage in order to conserve energy so that we can beat the summer heat. We know that there are concessions on air conditioned units this month. We know that more and more persons are putting air conditioned units into their homes. It's now more or less a lifestyle, a part of our lifestyle, because persons want to be comfortable. So we're going to talk about what impact that has on SKELEC, what you can do and what we're doing. So Key, let's talk about how these summer temperatures have an impact on our electricity demand, or on the electricity demand in SKELEC. What do we see as we're working at the power plant? What do we see happening during the summer in terms of the electricity demand because of the heat?
Okay, so during the summer months, particularly between June to September, we experience at the power plant the highest load demand at the power plant during those months.
And I think it's kind of important to explain to customers, or the public rather, what times of the day do we see this increase, or these peaks as we call them?
Okay, so we have the day peak, which occurs sometime between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. And we have the night peak, which occurs sometime between 7 p.m. and 10 p.m.
And this is when everybody is returning home from work, everybody is switching on lights, they're turning on their AC units.
Right.
They are, and I don't think people would understand. Well, when I am, you would think that the peak would be more when I'm at work, but it is not more so when you're at work, but it's when everybody goes home and starts switching on these lights and all of these appliances. So what steps do we take when we see these types of increase in demand, or what preparations do we make for these surges?
Okay, so at generation in particular, we have the operators who are monitoring the demand on the grid constantly. So in preparation for the day peaks, they would put on additional capacity if needed, to make arrangement for the increase in demand that we're about to see. From the maintenance end, that requires that we have as much of the fleet up and running as possible. So it normally requires us to be doing maintenance at some weird hours of the day when the peak is low, so that we don't disrupt the customers' electricity supply.
And we don't ever intentionally switch off power. There are so many steps that we're taking to ensure that our customers remain connected. And we have just heard Mr. Mark mention that even if it means having to work some strange hours, and those strange hours are sometimes very early in the morning.
Yeah, 3 a.m., 5 a.m.
And that's the time when they're doing some maintenance work, because the load would have dropped by then, because persons are asleep now, so they're not using the power as much as they were when they just got home. So the load would have dropped by then, and our teams, sometimes depending on how necessary it is, they're working during that times. So Mr. Mark, we spoke about the impacts of the temperatures on the demand. What other impacts are we seeing at the power plant, especially as it relates to the increase in temperatures?
But at the power plant, we've noticed, I would say over the past 2-3 years, we normally, the plant manager, Mr. Bennett, normally does a load forecast for the year. And in the past few years, the actual load we've been seeing has been higher than the forecast due to the increase in temperatures that we are experiencing. I mean, just from, I guess, the normal experience, you could see that these days are hotter than what it used to be.
Yes.
So the peak load is getting higher faster than previous years because of the temperature increase.
But outside of the load, what type of impacts are we seeing at the plant itself? Whether it is with the engines, what type of impacts are we seeing?
So at least from my end, at the maintenance end, we do see the coolant temperatures being increased at the plant, which requires our radiators to work a little more than they normally would in order to keep the engines cool. And sometimes, depending on how high that temperature is, it will affect how much power we could get out of the engines. So that's one effect that we're seeing with the increased temperatures at the plant itself.
So the engines are working harder, the place is hotter, and the cooling apparatus that we have, they're doing more work, and it means that we can't sometimes push the engines more and more to get the type of output from them. Yes. So yes, it does have an impact. So we're not asking customers more or less to sacrifice their comfort, because I will hear persons say, how is it that we're saying in 2024 that persons should not have AC units? That is a necessity now because of what we're seeing with climate change and the rising temperatures. We have to start to consider energy conservation. We are moving towards being a sustainable island state as well, and as members of the public, there are things that we can do in order to conserve energy and in order to use less. I know persons complain about the high bills, and yes, the AC units contribute significantly to the high bills, and the other practices that we engage in that do not help us to conserve energy, they contribute to the high bills. So Mr. Mark, just being an engineer as you are, can you tell us some tips that we can share with the public about how they can conserve energy? Okay,
well, since we are on the topic of cooling in particular with ACs and so on, there are a few things that people can do. So for example, both residential and commercial customers, if they are able to maintain their cooling equipment, the ACs, on a regular basis, that would help the units to run more efficiently, and so that will assist with the consumption of electricity for those particular units. There are also things that people could do in terms of insulation of the rooms that they're going to be using the ACs in. For example, if you're in your bedroom, you don't want all the windows wide open and the AC running. That would not be an efficient use of the ACs. For example, another example for commercial customers, if you have AC units running in a room where there's an open doorway, for example, there's an equipment called an air curtain that can be used to produce an air barrier between the outside and the inside. That would help with also the efficiency of the AC units, because they won't be receiving all that warm air from the outside. So those are some things that the customers can do to increase the efficiency of their cooling units and therefore use less electricity.
Thank you for sharing that, because we're not saying that customers should not have AC units, but there are steps that you can take in order to ensure that there is energy efficiency while using the AC units. So obviously you can't have on the AC, have the doors open, have the windows down, because you're putting the AC to do a lot more work with the hot and the cold air that's in the room. You also, please, you kindly introduce yourself, and we are talking about energy conservation tips, especially with the AC units.
Good morning, everyone. My apologies for my tardiness. There are some key factors in terms of cooling. One we don't like to talk about, which is you should properly size the AC. I know sometimes that upfront money is hard to find, but you have to be smart about it. If the AC is undersized for the area trying to cool, you're going to end up paying for it in your consumption. The second thing is that you also have to be practical about the temperature you're trying to reach. I've walked into rooms that are set at 16 and 17 degrees. We're in the Caribbean. Unless there's an environmental reason for that temperature, oftentimes the activity of just going in and out of the room, you will never achieve that temperature, and as such you're constantly running the AC unit. And then the final factor is, especially for those of us as residents that use it to make sure our sleep is comfortable, let us not lie to ourselves. You can't sleep for an hour and get up and turn it off. So familiarize yourself with the timing or timer feature of the unit, so that you can actually set that it will run for 2 hours or an hour, to provide some measure of comfort, and invest in a combination of the AC unit and a reasonable standing fan. So you use the unit to cool the environment, since you're not going in and out, and then you use the fan to supplement that by circulating that cold air. And then the final thing is, understand the reality of what you're buying. A lot of us buy units without knowing what it means in terms of its energy consumption, and then when we get the bill, we're surprised. So those, alongside what Keen just said, those tidbits work.
What about the type of AC?
Wow. there has been a recent push for the inverter AC. And whereas it does deliver on consumption, and I need to be careful here, my experience is that they're very sensitive to reasonable power fluctuation.
Okay.
And such, if you're not going to invest in protecting them power-wise, the AC itself will still work, but the control boards tend to suffer from that voltage fluctuation. So if you're going to invest in the inverter, voltage regulator for that unit will also be a timely and wise investment, just to ensure that the voltage stays in around a steady level. Voltage regulators are not necessarily expensive, so you just need to consult with your AC technician and your electrician to make sure you get the right combination to address your cooling. 2, the air curtain works well once you don't have the back and forth traffic.
Yes,
it's a lot better than an open door, but if you're going to have heavy traffic through the opening, then you're going to suffer from that in terms of your cooling bill.
Okay, and Mr. Mark could have spoken about the air curtain and some tips for commercials. You spoke a bit about some tips for our residentials. Are there any other tips that we want to use to advise our commercial customers as well, especially as it comes to energy efficiency?
What I've seen is that we have grown a lot in terms of our architectural design. So the open concept, a narrow building to take advantage of cross wind is coming more to the front. So you don't have a lot of walls trapping the hot air. Your customers must be comfortable when they do business with you, but the reality is that you have to pay the bill. So one of the things that I've seen in certain countries is that they operate later. So they start later in the day and they go later in the afternoon for 2 reasons. 1, most of their customer base will have exited work at that time, and so they have a better opportunity to serve them. 2, the day is not as they're operating more in the cooler part of the day than they are in the hot section of the day. But those are things that are realities of what you're doing as a business person and your customer base. Outside of that, leverage information. So don't wait until you have a bill that you consider high running for 6 months, because you could have an electrical issue. If you see a fluctuation in your bill that is more than 10% of what you used before, that you cannot correlate to an increase in business activity, consult your energy provider, SKELEC, and we can work together to try and identify if there is an electrical reason for that issue, grounding, fault somewhere in your electrical infrastructure. So
what about energy audits?
Right. We do energy audits, and I would say that every business should have, once you start operation, should do that. Should know where most of your energy is being used and what time of the day it's being used, so that you can put in behavior changes as well as instrumental changes to try and control that consumption. You might be surprised that the unit that you're using to provide your customers with music, background music, might be burning more energy than you thought it would, and then you can upgrade to a different system to meet that need. So
we are here encouraging our customers, whether it is residential or commercial customers, to engage in energy conservation and energy efficiency. The question will be, what type of incentives does SKELEC offer when I become energy efficient and when I conserve energy? Are there any incentives?
Well, I think you're missing somebody from this.
Yes, we do have energy savings. We do have energy savings credits on your bill. If you use less than 200 kilowatt per hours, you'll get the 50% reduction in the bill.
Right.
And there is also a subsidy that the government pays, which is the fuel variation charge that you do not get on your bill. So sometimes people will say, well, okay, my bill went from $75 to $200. It's because, well, you passed the 200 kilowatt level, so you're not being as energy efficient as you could be, and so you paid the full amount of the bill plus the excess of the 200. So these are the types of, I thought Collin would have been better able to explain it, but it's okay. These are the types of incentives that we do offer at SKELEC. We do have energy savings, and that's why it's important. And we know it's a hard conversation because we have to strike the balance. We heard Mr. Matt mention earlier of the types of challenges that the increase in the load and the demand causes at our power plant. But we also understand the cry of the people that it is so hot. Like, we cannot not have AC units. But you can spend some time outdoor during the summer. Like, you can go to the beach, you can go for hikes, you can do all of these things. Right. You can not have the children at home and they open the refrigerator.
Just to look at it.
Just to look at it and see if there's something new that's happening in the refrigerator. Send them to a camp. Like, it might actually just help you to save a lot with your energy bill. Anything you want to add, Collin? I know you have some interesting methods with that one.
As a parent, one of the things that I did quickly was I invested in what we call a cooler. Mm-hmm. Right. So, a couple coolers. So what we tried was to mix the juice or have water with ice already in those devices and direct them to use that in terms of when they want something to drink. How you get them to stop looking at the fridge just to look if something changed, I recommended a lock to a certain certain person that I'm in love with, and that was denied.
As it should be.
But ultimately, make your children aware of what the environmental plus financial cost to energy is. We need them to be wiser than we were. More sensitive than we are in terms of energy and how we consume it. And then I'm hoping, based on what I'm hearing from the ministry and the leadership of this country, as we move towards going green, that we start looking at devices that would take advantage of what we have abundance of, which is the sunlight. So there are solar ACs out there that we should be considering. I'm considering that as well for my cooling. I've not fully built that out. And then if you have a basic commitment that you have to make for one energy component, call it cooling, then how other areas can be managed to offset that commitment that you have to make. So you have a high cooling because of where you live, but can you be smart on your heating, the hot water? I recommend that we stay away from the electric kettles. I mean, I know they're convenient, but propane right now is a cheaper energy source for us.
Yes.
I mean, bless the government for making it so. But those trade-offs and those decisions can only be made, as you mentioned before, if you have an idea of how you're consuming energy through an energy profile. So more information, making our youth more sensitive and knowledgeable about energy and conserving energy, and just monitoring what is happening in our residents as well as our commercial businesses as we consume energy, because as Mr. Mark said, it has an impact on us, SKELEC, your partner, in providing that power, and it has an impact on your bottom line, which is your pocket.
And I know I've heard some of my colleagues mention that some persons will say to you the AC unit has to be on for the entire day. I don't think there is any reason why that is necessary. We really have to make the wise choices, unplugging the devices, doing whatever is needed, changing. It's a behavioral change. These are going to have to become lifestyle changes that are part of us, because we have to conserve energy. And when you do get the bill, before you start cursing and calling and coming in and making a lot of noise about the bill. Look at the bill. Try to understand the bill. Look at the billing cycle. Look at whether or not it was an actual bill or actual read or an estimated read. Look at the time period for which the bill was. All of these things so that you can become a lot wiser. Pay attention to the consumption. Pay attention to how much you would have used. It also gives you a profile as to how much you would have used over the past couple of months. So you have to pay attention because energy conservation is very important. I'm going to open the lines now to see if there are any callers before we wrap up the program this morning. We have been discussing energy conservation. We have been discussing how to beat the summer heat, how to strike that balance between the challenges that we're having at the power plant because of the heat, and to ensure that our customers are as comfortable as possible. We have been sharing tips this morning. All right, we have our first caller. Good morning, caller, you're live.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm calling about a concern I have.
What's that?
I don't know if this happened deliberately, but I try to keep my bill down, to keep the units below 200 units, right? So that I can get the incentive, right? Now, after a couple months, being paying an average of $80, you find suddenly a bill coming for $250 and $260. When I could check, the billing days, I'm paying for 43 days in a month. So then I've been paying all this amount of money, even though I try to keep it. So I was wondering if this is deliberate, so that I don't pay. You understand me? When I get I'm like 29, 30 days, I get my 10. I try my best to keep it below 200 units. And then suddenly this bill comes, this hell of a bill, $263 when I checked. They charged me for 43 days. Now you think that is fair? I just explaining it to you because I really am very pissed off.
Man.
All right, caller, thank you so much for calling. I'm going to start the answer and Mr. Williams is going to finish it. Under the circumstance, is that a deliberate act on behalf of the company? There are different factors that will cause the billing period to exceed beyond what it should be, and I think it's 28 days, about 28 days. And there are different factors, and I will allow Mr. Williams to chime in now.
Okay. Let me start, as Ms. Harris said, that there's no deliberate there. SKELEC works tremendously hard to get our billing cycle within the 20 plus days that we are committed to. As such, we have taken the step to invest heavily in a infrastructure and metering / billing process that will allow us to better meet that objective. The project is underway. There will be some more programs where we will inform the public as to the participation that you will be playing in that. And hopefully 2025, God's willing, we would have rolled out this new system. It will allow us to be more consistent in our billing cycles. And not only that, but be able to provide our users with more granular information as to their consumption. We know it is unfortunate. It is not our wish for that to happen. I know our entire billing department and customer service and finance department are heavily invested in trying to ensure as much as humanly possible that we fit within those constraints in terms of 20 plus days, but sometimes it is beyond and outside of our control. We hope not to have this as a frequent occurrence, and any questions you have on your billing, we invite the public and yourself, sir, to contact us so we can speak to it specifically. But that was a great question, and we thank you for it.
All right, do we have any more callers, GQ? No, all right. So we're going to start to wrap up the program now. And as Collin would have mentioned, there is a great new technology that's going to be coming on stream. It's an improved technology, because I know persons might ask, but I thought you all had that technology already. We are investing in and have invested significantly in an investment, not only in terms of money, but the human capital and the time and effort that has been put into this project. Certainly for about a year or more now, we've been working on this new project, our advanced metering interface project, and that should be rolled out very soon. And in that way, we should be able to clear up a lot of these anomalies that we're seeing, because we don't want our customers under any circumstance to think that we are deliberately overcharging them or not sticking to what our billing cycle should be. So we apologize on behalf of the company, but it will get better, and it will get better very, very soon. All right, so
Yes.
we hope that provides some reassurance for you. We have one more caller. All right, good morning, caller. You're live.
I'm calling back again because nobody is calling me. You don't think it's more fear for you to, when you find it's 43 days, to charge me for 30 or 31 days and put back the other 13 days for the following month? Instead of now charging me one time, like for 2 months, almost 2 months, and then the following month, it's a full month, charging for again. I don't know how you all get it done to get 43 days in 1 month, and then the next month is still 29 days. You understand what I'm saying? So my thing is charge me for the days what 1 month carries, and put back the other days, excess days, to the following month. Because I try my best to keep the units down, because it's very expensive. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I take your comment on the advisement, and I'll have a conversation with the customer service team, because I'm not very fully equipped to respond to that question, because I'm certain it has to be some reason as to why the cycle would have extended beyond what it should have been. So I would have to have a further conversation with them in order to be able to address that. But you as well, a customer, if you're in a position to, I encourage you to have a conversation with our customer service team as well. If it is that you're not in a position to lift up the entire bill one time, what provisions can be made for you, and just to even express or to understand why you would have gotten that 43-day bill. We have 2 more callers. Okay, I'm trying to wrap up the program. I think wrap up this be like, hey, let me call in fast. All right. Good morning, caller. You're live.
Yes, good morning. I've been trying to use your quick pay portal.
Uh-huh.
But what I realize it's calling for the amount. But I don't have a bill all the time, and I really would like to pay the amount.
Okay,
so I just make up any amount and pay. So
okay, but do you have your account number?
You could find out exactly what your billing amount would be.
Do you have your account number, sir?
No, I don't have it with me. I'm actually out. But I'm just saying that public portal could be.
No. So we have several portals, right? We have several portals. We have our e-biz portal, our e-billing portal, where you can manage your entire account online.
I don't want to go through all that. I just wanted a quick thing.
Okay, I'm explaining to you. There's also another portal, which is you can, if you had your account number, you could have called in to 465-2000. It's an automated service. You will hear what the amount is on the bill, and you can make a payment towards it. The Quick Pay is not a SKELEC portal. It's a portal that we use. I think the back end for it is to National Bank. It's a portal that we use to accept payments for persons who might not want to use any of those other portals. But the SKELEC portals allow you to have the bill payment recorded on your account real time. The Quick Pay and the mobile banking, they take about 3 business days. So when you are in St. Kitts again, I will encourage you to come into customer service to find out your account number or to get a bill, and to also think about e-billing. It's not very difficult, and it gives you all of the tools that you need to manage your account online.
Fully, yeah.
No, so I like to come in sometimes when I'm around to pay the bill.
Yes.
But sometimes you really don't have the time.
But even when you pay the bill, the account number should be on the receipt.
Yes.
So hold on to the receipt with the account number.
I know it's there, but probably I didn't notice that they had another system where you can quick pay by just calling the number that you mentioned earlier.
Yes, that is our IVR, Interactive Voice Response System. You just call 465-2000. It sounds like a robot, but be patient and insert the account number and the credit card information and make your bill payment.
Okay, no problem.
All right, thank you so much, caller.
Cool.
Our next caller, is the next caller still there? We lost the caller. All right. I'll take a deep breath for 2 seconds. All right, there are no more callers. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me on here this morning. Are there any final tips that you would like to share as we were discussing energy conservation? There's a lot in the pipeline for SKELEC, especially as it relates to renewable energy sources. There is a thrust that we are on to ensure that this becomes on stream, even to use liquid natural gas, this type of fuel that is better for the environment than the ones that we are currently using, which is the diesel. So again, there's a lot. Be patient with us. There's a lot happening, and we're trying to be on top of it in the best way that we can. So gentlemen, any parting words?
From the metering side of things, the bill is information for you. Especially the bar that shows a comparison between your consumption month to month. Once the periods are the same, I would advise any customer that if you see an unusual spike or drop that you can't account for in your bill, that you contact us so we can talk about it and address it together as your energy partner sooner rather than later.
All right, thank you, Mr. Williams, for joining us this morning, and we hope to have you back soon. Mr. Mac?
Just to echo what we've already spoke about, to ensure that you have the most efficient use of your cooling equipment. Make sure to keep them maintained and be informed as to the specifications of the equipment that you're going to be procuring.
Right.
And also be open to certain behavioral changes that may need to be made.
Yes.
You can still be comfortable and run your equipment most efficiently as possible.
Most definitely. Thank you as well, Mr. Mac. I'm going to take this opportunity to discuss 3 things very quickly. We are in a hyperactive hurricane season, and we are encouraging our customers as much as is reasonably possible to be alert and to be prepared. Prioritize preparation. We have seen Hurricane Beryl be one, based on what is being said in the media. Hurricane Beryl is one of the first storms in a very long time to have had that type of damage and category, being up to a category 5 so early in the season, which means that the predictions for this season have been updated. Yes, they have been updated, and we are going to be seeing some more severe, intense storms throughout this hurricane season. So please don't get caught off guard. At SKELEC, we're working very hard to ensure that we are prepared. There's only so much preparation that you can do for a category 5 hurricane, but you can be prepared. With that being said, our tree cutting program continues. We're getting a lot of calls about trees in lines, branches, vines. Please continue to call, because we are recording them, and we are putting schedules together, and we are going around the island. So bear in mind that our tree cutting program is not only for the trees that are in lines near your homes, but we also have our HV systems that are in some highly vegetative areas throughout the island that we are trying to maintain as well. So we are going around the island doing the tree cutting. Continue to call and be patient. Yes, we did have a backlog, and we're trying to clear that up. Street lights. We know that we're getting a lot of complaints about street lights. Continue to report them. We did have a backlog. The street lights have now arrived, and we've put a program together that we are getting them up as quickly as possible. So remember, SKELEC is your partner. SKELEC is the nation's leading utility provider, and we wouldn't have it any other way. Thank you for tuning in, and have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.